Hey folks, welcome to today's The Steady Trader YouTube Live. Well, we always talk about different time frames in the markets, right? And one of the things we need to talk about today is giving you a pro tip on using something called monthly charts. And this is particularly important right now, actually, as we are nearing the end of not just a month, but also the end of a quarter. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples here, but I think if you've been following me for longer than a cup of coffee, realize that I'm a big fan of using multi-time frame analysis, meaning you look at the daily charts, maybe you look at weekly charts, maybe even intraday charts if you're looking at things a little bit closer. But also very, very important, and actually very few people do this, is looking at monthly charts. You don't have to do this every single day, but particularly as we end a month and certainly end near the end of a quarter, this is really important. So let me show you guys the current analysis and the perspective this is giving us. Really the main point about using monthly charts is to calm you down and give you perspective on what's going on. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so here we have very simply the S&P 500, the actual cash index. And what you can see is I made this a monthly chart, meaning that each bar, each candle is 1 month. And the moving averages here are, as usual, the yellow ones, in this case, a 50-month, the blue one's a 100-month, and then a 200-month. And if this was a daily chart, they would be, 50-day, 100-day, 200-day, so on and so forth. But you can see, obviously, we've had a very choppy going for the past 2 months, February and March, and we've talked about this declines extensively, almost to the point of it being annoying that it's just been very choppy. You got to take a step back. And if we just connect the dots here, very simply, you take the first 2 dots in 2016, then late 16, you connect it all the way up, you can see that the February lows held that trend line, and right now we're holding as well. So from a trending perspective, the S&P continues to hold, but we are, of course, in a very choppy period. If we now go to the Nasdaq-100 the Qqq Etf, you can see it's pretty much the same thing. We are pretty much holding on to support. I mean, it really is a close call at this point, but so far we continue to hold the uptrend line, in this case dating back to 2016. We can stretch this down a little bit further and more or less get to the same. But the point is always to connect as many dots as possible. So you can see we continue to hold on. But here too, if you go a little bit deeper, you can see we had a nice rally off the lows in February, and now we had a sell-off off the highs. You move on to something like Facebook, which we've talked about now in this video here for some time. You look at this on a monthly chart, and again, you just try to take as many dots as possible and connect them, and you can see on a monthly closing basis, and again, a monthly closing basis, the shares of Facebook have not closed below this line. They had an intraday move below it, intra-month, excuse me, move below it here, but it's held all along. You look at something like Google, okay? And this is going to give you very much needed perspective. And again, if you guys enjoy this and this makes sense to you, would love to hear from you. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with people you know. Again, same analysis here on something like Google, right? You can get a lot of perspective by just drawing some very simple lines, okay? And again, you can see here, again, all we're trying to do is connect as many dots as possible. And here too, we are continuing to hold trend, right? So that's important. But here too, if you look at Google, we have a very similar move to what we saw in the Nasdaq-100, which is to say that we had a rally off the lows in February, and now a sell-off off the highs in March. So even though we're holding trend, we are in a very, very choppy environment. And by the way, if there's an index or something you guys want to look at, I'm happy to look at it right now. Type in a comment live so I can see it right now. If there's a stock you want to look at, I'll show you another one as I wait for some potential input here. Shares of Netflix, for example. Okay, I mean, these are starting to look pretty exhaustive. You can see something like Netflix. As you can see, I drew in a couple of things here to indicate what I'm looking at, but here this is different, right? So Netflix is way overbought, but what you can see is a real exhaustion candle starting to build here for the month of March, which is now pretty much almost over. 2 more trading is left. So as much as we had a bullish move in February, this is now concerning. Now again, it doesn't mean the stock is to fall apart, But to me, this does probably, quite likely, indicate that this stock is fairly capped somewhere up here. Okay? All right, let's have a look at let's have a look at Nvidia. All right. So you look at something like Nvidia, and it's, you know, it's the same analysis, right? It's no surprise. The trends here are holding still on a monthly basis, right? All we're trying to do is show you how the monthly charts work right now. Okay, this is not a not an advisory session because I'm not even allowed to legally do that, but you can see the charts are holding. If you draw a very simple parallel channel to that, let's see how that works there. So anyway, folks, I hope this makes sense. We'll leave it at this. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Oops. Anyway, back in and out. Hope it makes sense, folks. I'll see you guys in the next YouTube Live.